Hello and welcome back to the Cronecast at the Rising Moon. Today I have Healing Tarot for you. Now I have pick-a-card readings on this channel, I have active magic candle magic readings, I have the Spirit Guide Monthly live every last Friday of the month. But this particular reading is for those of us who have left behind relationships that were damaging, that may have been a factor of codependency, that may have been trauma influenced, that have to go back to our core informative wounds. The thing is that the atmosphere that you grow up in is what taught you what to expect from relationships. And sometimes we learn toxic traits in that formative experience. This is not a factor of blame. There's no blame involved here. In fact, it's absolutely normal to carry forward the things you were surrounded by, but you can learn, you can overcome them. So today's reading is, what toxic traits do I need to heal? And that is to have your best outcomes, your best relationships, and your best life experience. What toxic traits are you carrying forward that you need to overcome? And this is not the same thing as saying you are toxic. We all possessed traits that are somewhat dysfunctional, that don't serve our best needs. So, starting out this reading, if you're not prepared to listen to what you might need to address, then please go pick another reading. This is going to be real talk. This is going to be about what you need to heal to have a better experience overall. What toxic traits do you possess that are influencing your relationships and your path forward? How to heal them and what they are. Take a moment, concentrate, see which one calls out to you. Please don't pick the piles by 1, 2, 3, or 4. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Open your eyes and see which one kind of stands out a little bit to you. It's possible that more than one pile will call to you, but it's not likely. Find your pile and I will see you at the time of your reading. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 1, then this is your reading. Hey, the traditional manga deck's going to be bringing you your predictive spread. The Temperance card, which is one of the things that talks about healing, is going to be, we're going to get this, we've got a flipped guy, we're going to unflip them. We have some oracle cards to start. As usual, I will pick more oracle cards as the reading calls for them. We'll leave our little number 1 out there in case anybody joins us in progress. They'll know which pile is which. We're going to start with this. Remember, this is not about judging yourself. It's really not. I've shared a lot that I come from a very, my parents were incredibly violent towards each other. And a couple of other things that I was lucky that it was bad enough that I knew that I needed to learn new things. But we all pick up things in our relationships as we're growing up that influence how we view the world, ourselves in it, and people in it. And this is, again, not about judgment. No one's a perfect person. We're all here to work on things. Let's find out what you need to be working on so that you can have better outcomes. Before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe. If you like the reading, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you hit that post bell notification, you'll know every time I post a video. Okay, we have a tidy house, clarity and organization. This can be a card of OCD. There is a form of OCD that is trauma-induced. So you may be very controlling when you get this card. You may need things in a particular order. You may need to know how things are going to turn out or think that you need to know how things are going to turn out. Releasing your attachment to outcomes, which is surrender, understanding that it has never been hypervigilance that has gotten you through. It has always been that you're not alone and the answers come to you when you're in a more peaceful state. Nothing ever gets worried into a solution. It's good to have one eye on the future, but for the most part, live in the here and now, learn from the past, and move into the present. A tidy house and clarity and organization can also be one of the cures for anxiety is cleaning. It is actually a more ordered area, and anxiety is another thing that has a tendency to be a trauma response. We can really criticize ourselves for, I have an anxiety disorder, I also have trauma-based OCD, because I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is very common for people who were abused in their childhood, and I was abused in several different ways. If you are as well, you may be trying to find order in your life to try and give you a feeling of safety and security. Examine that. Listen, everybody loves to live in a clean and a bright and a good smelling place. This is not about saying, for heaven's sakes, live in filth, everything will be better. What it is saying, this will not give you safety. Control, order, they don't give you safety. Remember, enjoying your environment being clean is not the same thing as enforcing safety through routine. And that's one of the things that you need to heal, is going towards repetitive actions to try and give you a psychological feeling of safeness, wellness, safety, and sometimes control. That's what that card is about. You also have, it's okay to do what you think you've been wanting to do. This is talking yourself out of things. I think anxiety. And now, is anxiety a toxic trait? Because toxic sounds like, hey, you're choosing it, you're dwelling in your own swill, or it's not that. Sincerely, we all have things that take a darker turn in our life. We all have areas of damage. That's all toxicity really is an area that was damaged that we never learned to overcome, to have new patterns, to get better results. This is acting on what you want to do rather than talking about it forever. And I will give you an example. I do know people who have been talking about, they're very unhappy in their home state. It's a large family. They constantly talk about moving to a different area where they go on vacation every month. They've been talking about it for 20 years. Nobody ever acts on it, and there's no real reason that they don't do that. A lot of the times, putting your happiness in something that is a pipe dream, that is not something that you're reaching towards, is a way of kind of offloading your responsibility in the present to something that is not currently attained or attainable. So, if there is something in your life that you're like, I should change this, go towards it. Go towards reclamation of self and rebuilding of your foundation. It is okay to do the thing that you've been wanting to do. We can talk ourselves out of things, particularly if you're an abuse victim. You may not believe yourself worthy at a core level. Remember, if you were abused, that was never about you. It happened to you, so it matters. So don't mistake me here. But it was not about your worth. It was about somebody else taking their pain out on you. Sometimes well-intentioned, and they were just floundering around, but some people have a more sinister agenda. So this is not about you're a bad human, you need to fix this. It is about, hey, let's figure out the ways in which you can simply have a better outcome. And one of them is to have faith in yourself, to talk to yourself like your best ally, your best friend. Encourage yourself. Don't talk yourself out of things. Tell yourself you can do it. Okay, we have honesty. I can't always accept the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. Hey, let's talk about this in relationship to people who are abused, particularly as children. Because sometimes, and we can be very shaming and damning towards somebody who does not tell the truth, but we don't examine the reasons for why. Oftentimes, people who grew up in situations that were very volatile or very violent will learn to lie in order to keep themselves safe as a problem-solving technique. They weren't in an environment in which it was safe to tell the truth, so they learned to lie. It is not the same thing as being an inveterate liar. It is a form of trauma response. The way to overcome that, if it is you or if it is a partner, is to make it a safe environment to tell the truth in. Meaning that nothing gets this giant, shaming reaction. Talk to yourself truthfully. Be honest with yourself about your past relationships and perhaps the role you played in them. Because if you learned dysfunctional dynamics, then you've actually probably enacted them as well. That is not about blame, that is not about shame, it's about a remedy. Be honest with yourself as much as you can be, but you can be kindly honest. Brutal honesty is not the only form of honesty. All right, we have empathy. I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. Be careful with this. Particularly, again, abuse victims, they can explain away red flags because they only want to see the good in people. Empathetic people, in order to avoid negative emotions and negative feelings, will frequently focus on the good that they see in people. And I'm going to use myself as an example. It's the easiest thing to do, and it won't get anybody but me into any type of, spotlight trouble, is looking back, I should never have even gone on a second date with my ex-husband. I was married to him for 20 years, and I was in a lot of denial about how badly I was being abused for about the last 5 of it, but I did know from about the year 10 on that I really needed to leave him. And here's the thing with empathy, is that I explained away a couple of things that he said as being, I felt for him, I had compassion for him, and again, giant red flags. We're talking, he said, I hate people, and I still went out with him afterwards because it's like, oh, poor guy, he's had terrible experiences. That is the darker side of empathy, is remember when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't make excuses for them. They were just in a bad mood. He's probably sad because that person left him, took all his money, whatever it happens to be. Hold people to a standard of behavior. Everybody can have a rough moment, but it needs to be pretty deep into a relationship before you should be trying to explain it away. And remember, I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. It is okay to practice good judgment about who you allow into your life. It's not the same thing as judging somebody else's value, but whether or not they hold a place in your life. Now we have the dark mirror as well, which is masquerade. Okay, this can be kind of sublimating your feelings, repressing them, not allowing yourself to express negative emotions. A lot of abuse victims find that they have to hide their negative emotions from their abusers because they will be punished for them. A lot of the times narcissists will also punish their victims for being happy if it's not directly related to something that they were doing. Masquerade is learning to mask your feelings in order to achieve emotional safety. So far what I'm seeing here is somebody who likely has anxiety issues from past emotional abuse, which by the way is every bit as serious as physical abuse. In fact, it can be more damaging because we're unlikely to notice the effects of it, but it can undermine an entire lifetime's worth of joy, of happiness, and of good relationships. Remember, it was never about something you did. It's always about we incur damage and we can find it and we can heal it and we can have better outcomes. So what I've got here is somebody who you were potentially raised by a narcissist, you learned to repress your feelings and not show them. You may have lied in the past in order to secure your emotional safety. You may have hidden things because again, not everybody grows up in a situation where it's safe to tell the truth. Don't accept other people's labels for anything that you have done or you have seen. Honesty, you may not have been comfortable in past relationships sharing your real feelings because you were punished for them in the past. But it is something to prioritize in your relationships going forward so that you can have better outcomes. It's part of having good boundaries. We're going to take a 6-card spread because 6 is the number of internal balance. All right. 5 of Wands, and by the way, I chose the Temperance card at the beginning because it's all about healing. 5 of Wands in reverse is learning to be peaceful. It is learning what you should fight for and what you shouldn't, what you can walk away from, and what you should try to keep. It's also simply that settled feeling within. You have a lot of anxiety markers in which you talk yourself into and out of things. Believe in yourself. Talk to yourself like you're your best ally and your best friend. This is not truly toxic. Toxic sounds like it is damaging to all around you when it can simply be toxic to oneself. 9 of Wands in reverse is a need for better boundaries. 3 of Cups in the upright, 2 of Cups in the upright, 10 of Swords in reverse you are. This is trauma. With the 4 of Wands in the upright. Okay, you've had trauma bonding relationships in the past with this. Trauma bonding is it's when you're trying to fulfill an emotional need in an exterior source instead of looking within. And again, using me as an example, I think that most of my adult relationships would qualify as being trauma bonding, meaning I was still traumatized, I was not healed, and so I went towards people. Quite frequently, I thought if I could help somebody and make them feel better, that I love to help people. And I didn't realize partners are not meant to be projects. If you have all this loving, caretaking, nurturing energy, give it to the outer world. Remember, the stuff of real relationships, it is our own job to heal our stuff. We can be supported through it, but we can't ever do the work for somebody or with somebody, okay? Now, listen, long-term relationships, can you go to couples counseling and work things out? Yes. But you still need to have honesty with yourself about what's really going on within you and know that you will have personal work to do. Personal work to do. All right. The other thing is that you have a tendency to focus on your relationship to the exclusion of your own friendships. The trauma bonding problem, most of your relationships may in the past have been, you need to process and to release the trauma, to recognize the ways in which it has impacted the way you communicate your needs. Because with this masquerade, you keep telling yourself and potentially your partner that everything's okay, everything's okay, everything's okay. And sometimes you have lost the ability to even be honest with yourself about what's going on. You may go towards compulsive routines with a tidy house energy, trying to find a way to find safety in routines. because that's something else that post-traumatic stress disorder can cause. And again, complex post-traumatic stress disorder is in which we were in an unsafe situation for 15 or more years with no way of escape. That is most childhood abuse. As I've shared elsewhere, and I guess I'm just going to be sharing throughout this read, I was physically abused, I was emotionally abused, I was sexually abused, I was bullied. And so and I'm only laughing about it because I really am fine now. But it's such a big load of things that for a long time I didn't even tell people about it because I didn't want to upset them. And then I found out that so many people are walking around with this damage, and I better start sharing it so that other people can know you are not alone. You have company in this. No matter how much of an alien or how isolated you feel, there are people who have had the same sort of experiences with you. This particular collective is almost all trauma survivors. We're psychic healers and magicians as well. Frequently, people who are very, very powerful have had very difficult childhoods. Your toxic traits are you lose yourself in your relationships. Often, you will see somebody's pain and want to heal it with your love. You can't do that. Nobody can, it will only be a temporary remedy. You really can support somebody through their own healing journey, but it has to be their idea. It really does. People have to want to heal in order to heal. She who remains, powerful devotion and true worth. The other thing is that once you make a commitment, you have a very hard time letting yourself off the hook for it, even if the other person is not living up to the standards of that particular agreement either. Meaning that you take your promises to others very, very, very deeply indeed, and you can stay in situations and talk yourself out of seeing truth in things. That's that honesty card as well. You need to, it looks to me like, settle into a good routine around how to be self-soothing, self-calming through meditation, through good grounding practices with this Five of Wands in reverse. You need some reinforcement around what good boundaries are. Good boundaries are knowing when somebody is making you feel uncomfortable and identifying why, being able to shut it down without it turning into a type of war. With the Three of Cups, you need to have diversified relationships even when you are in a romantic relationship. Do not just have mutual friends. That's a difficult one for people to understand, is you need your own friends because you need somebody you can talk to. You really do. If all of your friends know your partner, then because of this masquerade and a couple of other things, you likely hit abuse growing up, and so you have a hard time admitting when you think it's disloyal, and it's not. It's important to have your own friendships so that you can have a voice that is only interested in your side, okay? All right, I have inkpot problems to be resolved. Remember, you are not here to solve somebody else's problems for them. You're here to heal yourself, learn your lessons. If you, again, I'm always saying this because empaths are so prone to this. Partners are not projects. You cannot earn somebody's constancy, love, devotion, or commitment through doing for them. Acts of service, while part of a love language, is not the foundation for a relationship, okay? And again, pay very close attention to who somebody really is. Don't overcommit too soon. It does look as if you're a little bit prone to trauma bonding. That is not your fault. It's just not your fault. Remember, heal within. Heal within, and when you have a great relationship to self, all the other relationships follow. And then I have Rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. Listen, you may like people to take the decision-making process, meaning they take the reins. That's somebody who's very self-directed. And that is, again, one of the things, this is being very passive as well. You may be too passive in your relationships, not being comfortable speaking your truth. Again, this has nothing to do with your worth as a human being or as a partner. What it has to do with is we learn really unhealthy things sometimes. Let's go ahead and get an archetype card here. Big deck. As usual, I'm standing up and down the whole time I'm doing this. Here we go. I finally realized I did not need to use a stand to have my oracle cards displayed, and I can just lay them atop my little stained glass flowers. So that's what we're doing with this reading. Here we go. What do we have for what needs to be healed by group number one so that they can have the best relationships possible? We have teacher, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, and wisdom. Look for something to do with your caretaking tendencies. quite frequently people who grew up with, and I have this vibe around, like, there's likely a narcissist somewhere in your past. Somebody who everybody in the family was all about keeping them happy. And we have vampire. We have light attribute. Make you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. You have a tendency towards non-reciprocal relationships through this trauma bonding. Somebody, and I can give you, once again, I will use myself as an example. Over the summer, I had somebody who was really, 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 really interested in me, but there was a reason that I did not want to get involved with them. And there really was a very good reason. And they kept putting on the hard court press to try and get me to be involved with them. And I didn't go for it, and I didn't go for it. And as I kind of got to know them a little bit better, they weren't who they were representing themselves to be. Like, cracks started to show in this person's, like, you know, attempts to charm me. They weren't very reliable. I caught them lying multiple times. And they really were, like, and at first they told me certain things that were not necessarily true about the situation that they had been in the past as well. So that's the other thing is allowing yourself enough time to take the lessons of the past, to be able to spot these vampiric sort of energies. If you are an empath, you're very likely to attract narcissists. And why is that? Because a narcissist wants somebody to focus on them. And empaths are very, very willing to focus all their love on somebody else, because they think if that person starts loving them, they will receive an equal measure. And instead of giving all of that love to themselves, they try and give it to a partner. Non-reciprocal relationships is another thing that you need to heal when you get the vampire card. And then look to the past to find the things that you learned that have not been serving you. I have Sun, open your heart to the enormous growth ahead. Remember, change is a friend. We've got multiple anxiety cards here that suggest that you talk yourself out of the changes that you need to undertake sometimes. That's so normal. You may have had your self-esteem undercut throughout the course of your life. Talk to yourself like the parent you never had. Tell yourself, you're good at this, you can do this, I'm proud of you. You were scared, you did it anyway. You're a rock star. Get up in the morning and say, let's go crush this day. Believe in you. Talk to yourself encouragingly. Follow through on plans and allow yourself to heal. All right, let's get an Island Wellness card as well. Or at least a couple of them. This can be a slightly shaming deck, but I've been digging it for exactly that reason. It tells you things that need to be healed. What does group number 1 need to look at healing, please? Okay. Healing heart, healing from heartbreak, freedom from toxic relationships or addictions. All right, let's go one more. I like you. Someone likes you. Romance is blooming. Fun flirting. Want to date. Let's keep going here. Abundance. Keep a positive mindset. Manifest exactly what you want. Gratitude and bliss. Let's talk a little bit first about this. What can happen with people who've been badly traumatized is they'll get to a point of being like, well, I was single for 3 months and then I started dating again and I met this person. I was pretty much all in. People are on their best behavior at the beginning. Do not overinvest. Addiction in this particular instance is codependency. Codependency is where we look for our worth in another person and we lose our identity to the idea of being in a relationship. Meaning we want our life to be lived with a partner or we don't think it has as much value. And you do, if you're healing from codependency, and I am, you have to make sure that you are happy in your life as a single person first. And that way, you're not looking to a partner to give you that happiness, you're looking to a partner to add to it. And why is that so important? Because if you're looking to somebody else to create your happiness, even if they come along and that person is wonderful, then they have the power to withdraw it. Everyone has their own path to walk, everyone has their own work to do, everyone has their own healing. So, make sure that you have healed from your own heartbreak, taken the time to really allow yourself to get to know yourself, to know what will make you happy, what soothes the things within that sometimes disrupt you. And if you're going towards relationships in order to make yourself feel better, know that is a hallmark of codependency, and there is no healthy form of codependency. In the very least damaging form, it is limiting, and at the worst, it can be lethal. Because codependency often occurs between people who have addictive tendencies and they're very self-destructive together. That's not all codependency. Like I said, and I am codependent, codependency queen over here. I have to heal from it before I can have my next long-term relationship. And as I said, I've had several tests. The universe will send you tests around that. Don't resent it. It's a way to learn. I like you. That is, again, when somebody likes you, you take it as being about your worth. You have innate and unquestionable worth. Nobody ever bestows that upon you by liking you, by finding you attractive, by wanting to have a relationship with you. Everyone that you meet, if they like you, figure out if you really like them back rather than you like the idea of somebody loving you. And I'm sorry, I know this stuff is hard, but I want you to be happy and healthy and have the best love that you can have. And this is the way to do it. Heal first, and then you will attract a healed person. And then abundance, and that is exactly what we're talking about. Keep a positive mindset, manifest exactly what you want, gratitude and bliss. Work on you first, and then everything else will follow. Okay, so group number 1, what are you looking at? Don't go towards soothing things in an exterior fashion, relationships, substances, or activities. Look within, find where the feeling is really coming from. Why am I afraid? Why am I anxious? If you are suffering from anxiety and depression, cleaning up your environment, this is not shaming, sincerely, cleaning up your environment is one of the things that will bring order to your chaotic mind. Do it a tiny bit at a time, sincerely, set a timer. I will work like this for 40 minutes, and at the end of it, I will go do something fun. And it's okay if you only get through a corner at a time. You will eventually get all the way through your living situation. Look to the past to see what the relationships you grew up around taught you about relationships and examine them. What was healthy? What needs to be discarded? Like I've said before, like my parents were insanely violent with one another. Now, they did break up when I was 6 years old, but I learned terrible things about what marriage was, and I did throughout the course of my adult life have to unlearn things, and we all have those things. I just had big, glaring ones. But everybody has something. And then don't be afraid of change. Don't talk yourself out of believing in yourself as well, because the other one that you got here that was a little bit concerning was don't be attracted towards arrogant and confident people who tell you who you are. That's the thing with people who are traumatized, is quite frequently they're just so grateful to somebody for somebody seeing value and something lovable in them. See it in yourself, because it's true. You don't need anybody else to validate you. And then this is she who remains, leave behind, let go of relationships that are not serving you. Don't sit on a shelf and wait for somebody. If you've been in separation from somebody for a while, notice that is your person. They will catch up to you. But go on with your life. Go on with your life and have the best experience that you can. We're not meant to sit and wait for others. Do your work and trust that that person is doing theirs, and if they are meant to be with you, they will catch up with you. But be open to alternative possibilities. And by the way, if your reaction to that was like, no, I'm panicking, that is a sign of something to heal, okay? All right, we have it's okay to do what you think you've been wanting to do. Be your best ally, your best supporter, your biggest cheerleader. Honesty as well. Look at your relationships in the past. If you have been involved with somebody who did not tell the truth as well, figure out why that was. Some people are deceitful and some people are damaged. If you have been struggling with being honest with yourself and others, look for the origin point of that as well. Your toxicity is not deep. It's not. You just have a tendency to sacrifice yourself. You like somebody with a stronger voice than you are. You like somebody to take the lead. And you like to relinquish your power because you don't trust yourself as much as you need to. You are a powerful person. You can do everything that you need to in this world. You genuinely can. Believe in you because you have tremendous power. Let's go ahead. We're going to get a bird message to close this out. 1 and 2. This is going to be a long one. And 3. Why? Well, damage. It's hard to get through. We have albatross. Conserve your energy and reap bountiful rewards. Focus on self, guys, first. Seriously, it's not being condemned to being alone. You can date as much as you want. Just don't invest in a relationship until such time as you know that you've healed the damage within. Because unfortunately, until such time as we have healed, we look for people who match the energy signature that we're in at the present time. if you don't think you've healed yet, if you don't think you've overcome yet, and then again, so natural, so normal to have things to have to heal, don't try to make a long-term commitment until you're sure that you have gotten good with the things within so that you can have the very best outcomes that you can. Okay? All right, so grip number 1, that was your reading. Please concentrate on healing and everything falls into line. You're happy, you're content, you know what your needs are, and you like yourself more. And romance is still great. Love and sex and all that great stuff, who doesn't want it? But it will never be the thing that makes you happy if you're not. If you're not happy within first, nothing can sustain your happiness for long because it's an internal condition. Solve what is interior. Don't look for an external panacea or something to medicate it, and you will do so very well. And you can have as much fun and as much companionship and as much love as you want. Just know that you are in a work in progress, and you will know when you are healed. You genuinely will, because it will feel so very different. Take care. Be well. I will see you next time. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 2, then this is your reading. Here we go. This is the Temperance card. Temperance is about healing. It is one of the reasons I chose it to mark the piles. What are toxic traits? Toxic traits are things that we learned usually in our family of origin and our growing up experience that don't serve us, and we all have them. It's not a character flaw. It is a response. It is, we carry forward what we were surrounded by. And again, if you find the toxic traits within, you can have wonderful outcomes, you can feel better, you can be happier. Hey, before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe. It does help my channel. If you like the reading, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And then if you want to book me for a private reading, there's a link to my website in the description box down below. Winter's Dream, gestation period. Interesting. This looks like you're in a healing period right now. Believe in your dreams. Oh, you undercut yourself. Gestation period. You're pretty far along in your healing journey. We have blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. Okay, so how do we balance out blame? Because this can be about victim mentality. And by the way, remember, big old PTSD, complex PTSD survivor over here, I am not shaming you for reacting to the amount of pain and the amount of damage that you have incurred. It is not your fault. But beyond a certain point, you simply deserve to feel better. And so that's what it is about. Okay, so these terrible things happened to me in the past, but I'm safe in the here and now. What can I learn from them? How can I release them? I accept responsibility for my own happiness. I am not the things that happen to me. I have agency, I have power, I have the ability to make the life that I want no matter what my past was like. Remember, your new life can begin this very moment if you accept responsibility for your own happiness and well-being. Nobody else will ever make you happy for any long period. If you are unhappy within, eventually that will come back. That is why healing within is the best way to have good relationships without. All right, we have surrender. Oh, okay. I release my need to control. Attachment to outcomes and believing that what we want is the only thing that can make us happy is what this is about. Most of the things, and I don't know about you, but this has a tendency to hold true, at least for me and in most of the people that I know. Most of the things that I associate with the most joyful experiences were not things that I planned. They were just things that happened. Know that the divine knows what it's doing and it has a plan. And if you're saying, well, but I've suffered a lot that can't possibly know what it's doing. Most of our suffering, and I am talking about me, most of my suffering has to do with my own choices. The things that I sometimes ignored to get what I wanted. I would ignore things that were not part of the reality that I wanted in relationships. So I had, I'm always saying this, I was married to someone who was abusing me quite badly at the end of our marriage, and it was emotional abuse, and so I was able to continue to ignore it. And it was escalating and may not have stayed in the emotional category had I not left, but it had to get that bad before I would recognize it. This whole surrender thing is, if you have had relationships in the past that were not emotionally healthy, stop. heal first before you keep trying to have relationships. If you don't repair it, you will repeat it. Because if you're trying to meet an internal need with an exterior source of validation or pain killing, like relationships, like substances, like sometimes obsessively doing things, it doesn't heal it, it just placates the pain. It's just a painkiller. Look for the source of the pain, heal it, and you'll be healed forever. And surrender is understanding that absolutely everybody has struggle and pain and trauma. You may not know the depth of it, but we only ever live our own experience, and it is not a judgment from on high. Suffering does pass. We can release it, we can move forward, and it has nothing to do with saying your pain doesn't matter. Your pain matters so much. You deserve to not be in pain. Surrender and say, guide me, show me how to heal, bring me what is best for me. Surrender to your higher self. It's not about surrendering to a divine plan. And very particularly, like my higher self, like set up a whole situation to guide me away from something and to give me like something to focus my mind on while I was healing. And I see it now, and at the time, I didn't realize that I was being distracted by a relationship that would not have served me at the particular time. But it kept me in an energy of wanting to heal. Surrender. There's a reason for everything. And that is not in any way validating your damage. It's not saying there's a reason for everything and so that's why you got the crap kicked out of you. That is not what it means. Most damage is incidental and as a factor of other people's choices and of our own. Sometimes we cling to things past the point that they're good for us because we want them so much. And that is blame. That is accepting the responsibility for our own well-being. And then also surrender. I can release my need to control. Controlling is a toxic trait. It comes from obsessive safety seeking, thinking if you know what's going to happen or you have control over what's going to happen, that somehow you're safe. This is a difficult one. Life simply is not a particularly safe business. And that does not mean that we're always about to have a safe dropped on our head or something. But what it does mean is that the perception of safety is not the same thing as safety. Control only gives you the perception of safety. And the more you try and control things, the more likely that the more rigid you are around something, the less likely you are to get the outcomes that you want. So surrender is saying, I'm just going to keep doing my best. I'm going to be doing my work. I'm going to believe in myself. And I'm going to believe that I am connected both to the divine and to a higher purpose. We have forgetting oneself. Okay. Go back and reclaim your core person. Your person, the person you started out to be before things damaged you, before you were dissuaded from kind of becoming who you are meant to be. This winter's dream gestation period, at any point in our life, we can go back essentially in time and find the things that, well, what was I like as a kid and what damaged that? What did you really like doing when you were a child? Because that contains a lot of the answers about what your joy is really comprised of. If you loved stories, if you loved playing, if you love, find what lit you up and find a way to bring that into your current state of being. All right, we have seeker, light attribute, thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. Shadow attribute is inability to commit to a path once found. All right, we have detective as well. Great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. Voyeurism, falsifying information. Now, falsifying information, is that the same thing as lying? No, it's bending a narrative to mean what we want it to mean. And I'll give you this is a very generic answer, but sometimes people will be involved in long-term, twin flame situations in which there is separation. And I'll start hearing the story on what's on the other side, and it's like that person is married to somebody else. Or they're with somebody else and they had a relationship with this person who is waiting for them but haven't taken the steps to leave. And this is where this comes in. Falsifying information. We tell ourselves things that don't necessarily track with the circumstances around that. You deserve to have somebody focus on you. If you are in love with somebody and they are not returning it, they don't deserve you at this particular time. Please release them and find the person who does and start with you. Start by loving yourself. Start by accepting yourself. Start by cataloging the ways in which you are wonderful and this is forgetting oneself. That's what we're talking about. Find you again. Your worth is not determined by who loves you. Your worth is not determined by a relationship. And your worth and your lovability will never be at the whim of somebody else. That's what happens so often when people go into these long-term, like it's not working out, like this is the whole runner-chaser situation. Please stop chasing. It doesn't mean you will never be with the person. What it means is that in the meantime, work on you. And then when you're healed, reevaluate. Do you really, is that person still the person that you have real feelings for? Do you like them? They could be working on their own trauma, but please don't focus on them, focus on you. That's why letting go is the answer to help bring you greater peace, greater happiness. Seek that which will make you happy for yourself. Have a relationship with you first. Release the need to know the answers about what will come in your future, and instead build the best now that you can, and then the future follows from there. She who yearns. Yearn, longing, and pine for. I'm not sure why I very much got the feeling that I am dealing with putting your dreams on hold, waiting for somebody else to make a move towards you. Don't ever do that to try, like in any real capacity. Meaning you can be, and by the way, it does work out sometimes. Sometimes people come back. Sometimes people are like, they're sitting over there doing their work, and they come back to you in a better state. But it is important that you're not like sitting there watching the clock going, are they coming back yet? Are they coming back yet? Let me get a reading, check in on where they are. Get a reading for yourself. Get a reading for what you need to be working on. Get a reading for what will make you happier. Let that other person do their work and get on with your stuff. If you're afraid that, well, then I will lose that person, that is not how a real love would work. That which is meant for us cannot be kept from us. We're going to take 6 cards in for the energy of internal balance. And by the way, I when I was told to do this reading, because I 100% got told to do this reading, I didn't want to. I was like, people are not going to be happy with me. I'm sorry. If we can lean in on healing, then you get every good thing coming to you. And one person can never contain all of that, but you can. Because we're meant to have this wild, diverse experience that is not just focused on our person. We are our own person first. Heal within. Remember yourself. Surrender to the divine. If you're yearning for something that you do not have, say, if it's meant for me, it's coming to me. Meantime, let's get back to me and work on your stuff. Have your dreams. Believe in yourself. And then this is also, be honest with yourself as well about what it is that you need to make you happy. If this person had never existed, what would you need to make you happy? That's the answer. Believe in your dreams. Find your own dreams as well. All right, we have Knight of Swords. We have the King of Swords. Oh, wow, clarity, truth. We have the 5 of Swords, conflict. Oh, 4 of Cups in the upright. 5 of Pentacles in reverse with the 4 of Wands in reverse. Yep. Okay, so I do think I'm dealing with people who may be in a twin flame situation or who are waiting for somebody to return. And here's the thing, if that person is meant for you, they're coming on back. Don't worry about that part. Look within. Find the ways to be happy within. If you are discontented, this is the card of discontent. Remember, there is something, if you're not happy as you yet, nobody else can ever make you happy. Work on you. That's the thing to bring about the best outcomes that you possibly can. She who yearns. I want one more in this. Detective. Shadow attributes. Falsifying information. That's we sometimes lie to ourselves. We just do. And I'm not saying that you are group number 2. I'm just saying that this is a twin flame and separation type of card with the 4 of Wands in reverse. Heal your relationship to yourself. Everything else will follow. The 5 of Pentacles in reverse is waiting to be brought in from the cold. It is also releasing the feeling that you are uniquely afflicted. Meaning understanding that we all have our struggles, we all have our trials, we all have our tribulations. We genuinely do. Every person that you see when you're out there in the world, you have one thing in common with them. They are working on something too. They may not be doing it super directly throughout the course of our lives, and we can become better and better. We will always have things that we're being asked to examine within. It's part of evolution to continue to try and improve. As I'm always saying, one of the things I'm trying to improve is that, like, I'm a very fiery person. I had to work on controlling and the whole reacting and responding. I needed to work on responding, not reacting. And it partially because working on having healthy boundaries is one of the things that people have to do. Listen, there does appear to be a conflict in your life. This is a battle that cannot be won sometimes. This is truth surrounding it. And this is moving forward on something. Move forward on your relationship with self. It has nothing to do with saying you won't be with the person that you want. Please release that. That is not what is being said here. It is saying that if you want to have a long-term happy relationship with anybody, first, remember yourself. Find out what really you want. And if your answer is, I just want my person, understand that if you're saying that from a place of happiness, my life is great, I just want my person now. I'm very, very happy, I'm willing to wait for the right person, then you're in a healthy space and you don't even need to be watching this. But if you're saying, I just want my person because you can't be happy until you have that person, something still needs to be healed within, okay? All right, heart with a key, welcoming love, meeting the one, open your heart, getting together, and perfect. I think you may really be looking for a relationship too. You are. Union, wedding, married, soul connection, eternal love, everlasting promise, okay? And then I have seduction, attraction, flirting, dating, hooking up, temptation, third-party interference. I think I nailed this at the very beginning. I think I am dealing with twin flames and separation here, in which you really, it's so normal. Our whole society prepares us to think until such time as we find our person that we're not doing what we're meant to be doing, that we're not living in the energy that we're meant to be living in. You are here to have your unique, individual, singular experience that has nothing to do with the need to remain single. You don't need to remain single. But remember that no other person truly holds the key to your long-term happiness. You have to become happy and healthy and healed within first. And does that mean that, like, this person that I'm, like, watching this reading for, I'll never be with them? No, that's not what that means at all. It just means that particularly in a twin flame situation, twin flames exist because we were made from the same energy. And so they will have a lot of the same flaws that you do, and you will see their flaws in them and they in you. And quite frequently, they are we go to opposite ends to try and avoid doing our work. Do your work. That's the easiest way to end any type of separation. Don't look to that other person, look within. Look within and find, what am I really looking for here? If I think this person is my twin flame, have I accepted poor treatment from them? Does that have to do with a past abuse? Do I have low standards because of past abuse? Why would I have low standards for myself? If somebody won't talk to me, if they won't respond to me, if they've left me in the cold, why do I think that person is worthy of me? And starting to answer those questions, don't explain it away with they've got this, they've got that. What do you deserve from relationships? Don't wait for that other person to level up yourself. And by the way, if they're really your twin flame, they can feel that happening. That's the secret of letting go in twin flame situations, is when you let go, the other person can feel it and they're far more likely to get on with doing their stuff. That is why, and it's never popular, letting go is the right answer, because it has no bearing on whether or not the person will really be with you. But it will have a lot of bearing with how quickly you accomplish the work that you want to do. All right. Like I said, I got told through my pendulum to do this and through a couple of other things. And I was not super enthusiastic about it because I'm like, people are getting mad at me. Coffin, natural endings abound. Take care with your health. Sometimes we do need to release to move forward. And I'm not saying you will not be with that person, but what I am saying is look within, do your work, and everything that is meant to you will come to you and you will feel glorious. That is, healing does not feel good at first. That's a thing I wish that people would tell people who are on a healing journey. It's tough, it's difficult, you're digging up old pain, sometimes you'll cry for 6 hours at a time. And then when you're through doing that, when you've unpacked everything, you feel strong, you feel purposeful, and you feel the love of both the divine and of self. and then you won't accept anything else than what you deserve. And if you have a real twin flame, because they really do exist, when you are doing your work, your twin flame will feel it, and they will be spurred on, because one is always ahead of the other, and it's almost always the runner who's behind. Do your work. It is the way to heal yourself and get the best outcome regardless. But the other person is very likely to feel it as well. Eagle, you will soar towards your destiny with greater clarity and strength. Okay, let's keep going here with just one more bird oracle, and then we will start getting towards closing this out. The first one was very, very long-winded. I have a feeling there's going to be healing messages throughout this, but this looks like a runner-chaser situation. You may be dealing with a twin flame connection. It's almost always about the need to heal within, about putting too much worth in relationships as determining our happiness, our feeling of like, oh, everything in my life is complete, but I don't have my person. If you are, and that can happen, by the way, if you're like, yeah, no, I love my job, I love my friendships, I have interests, I want to go traveling, if you've got all of those ducks in a row, and you're like, but I'd still like a person, that's not unhealthy. It's just if your need to have a person keeps you from thriving or being happy in all other areas of your life, that is yield, red flag, and a toxic trait that needs to be healed. Do not view yourself as half as a whole. You are whole as you are. Let's get your bird message card. We have Ancient Wing, dare to be first, dare to be different, dare to be the individual self, and I want one more of this. Lovebirds, passionate declarations can lead to love. One more came out with it, Macaw, that think laterally to solve a problem. Here's the thing. I think you are super into somebody that you really truly believe is your long-term soulmate, twin flame partner. They very well may be. But first, do your stuff. Look within. Heal yourself. Do not worry about what they're doing. Worry about what you are doing. Let this part go until such time as everybody involved is healed. Remember, the easiest way, the only way to stop that runner-chaser dynamic is to stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, you are still, you look within, you go, well, what work am I supposed to be doing now? Let them do their thing. Let them do their thing. And when they are ready, they will catch up to me. But I'm not going to waste my life's energy checking in on somebody who has not made me their priority. I'm going to make me my priority, and I will be happy regardless. And that is the key to healing toxicity. You may have, in fact, kind of really absorbed the societal message that until such time as you have your person, you have not really accomplished your life's purpose. That is not true. We are never validated by having a relationship. Love's wonderful. Who doesn't dig it? Sincerely, it is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But you know what you really deserve? Somebody who treats you like you are the most special thing in the world to them. Because that is exactly what you deserve. Heal yourself, see yourself as being that lovable. And again, if someone's offering you crumbs, say, get back with me when you're ready to call me for a banquet. Look within, remember you, find your dreams. And if you're like, I don't have any dreams other than wanting a person, that is also kind of a red flag. We all have an individual purpose here. Now, if you're hearing this, you're like, oh, okay, you know what? I really only ever wanted to have kids. I want to be somebody's mom. I want to take care of them. Please remember what you'll be teaching a child who sees a mom who does not have any other identity, and that is that they sublimate their identity to their children. And that is, we still need to be these strong, independent, self-guided, self-reliant people, and that is not the same thing as saying you can't ever accept love, you can't ever accept help. It is saying that you need to be able to go forward without it under your own steam. And then somebody comes and stands behind you and you conquer the world together. But nobody else acts as your shield. You are your guardian, you are your protector, and you are more than enough by yourself. And the only toxic trait that I'm picking up here is that you have a hard time viewing a singular life, living life as being single, as being acceptable until the right person comes along. And by the way, as soon as you settle into that, I'm fine. I like my life as it is. Until the right person comes along, I would rather hang out with me because I will always be my right person. You will have a tendency to attract people who kind of reinforce a lesson over and over again. If we do not repair it, we do repeat it. She whom yearns. Yearn, longing, and pining for. If you want to pine for something, pine for your purpose. Go out and do life's purpose questionnaires. It will help you target what really makes you happy. Find that, and you'll start finding the key to your self-actualization, your being in alignment, your unity within. Remember yourself. Forgetting oneself and thinking that you are only here to be part of a partnership is denying your unique divine purpose, your unique divine personality, and your soul's destiny. Find you, and then your person will come to you as well. And it may very well be the person that you yearn for and long for, but remember, surrender. I release my need to control. And I very much have somebody that I love very, very dearly who I believe is a twin flame. But I've long since kind of released the like, it's them or it's somebody else. And if it is somebody else, okay. I have absolute faith that the divine knows what they are doing. Do I hope it's this person? To this very day, I hope it's that person. But if it's not, I'll be okay, because whoever the divine has in plan for me is who's right for me now. And that's somebody who's really worthy of standing beside you when you are healed in your power. The strongest, most mighty version of yourself is who you truly deserve. And I hope it's who you want, but simply ask for my true divine pairing, and in the meantime, concentrate and find the areas that will allow you to become the strongest, most powerful, singular version of you, okay? All right, so group number 2, like I said, I had a feeling this was gonna be a little bit of a rough ride, but sometimes that stuff is necessary to find the things that need to be healed. Thank you for joining me, and please take this reading in the spirit in which is intended, which is that you deserve real love. Heal you, and you will never accept anything less than your love. Take care. Be well. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 3, then this is your reading. Let's put our little number 3 there. So if anybody wanders in progress, the 3 shows us where we are. Okay. Hey, the Dreaming Way is going to be bringing you 6-card predictive spreads. 6 is the number of energetic internal balance. We're looking at what toxic traits you need to heal. We all have them. We get them from our family of origin. It's no way about a judgment. Some of mine would be like impatience, a triggered temper. I've been working on these things my whole life, and are they much better? God, yes. Will I be working on it my whole life? Probably. You've got the Temperance card, which is all about patience and healing, by the way. Let's start with your Oracle cards. Hey, before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe. It does help my channel. If you like the reading, hit that thumbs up button. And if you hit the post bell notification, you'll know every time I post a video. I am not anticipating this being like one of the most well-received ones. I was told very directly to do this reading, and I kind of didn't want to, because like, people are gonna be mad at me. However, I want you to have the best experience you have, to be healed, to be healthy, to stand strong, to release the damage of the past. You deserve that. And so if it has a bunch of thumbs up, downs, buttons with it, then so be it. Fool's Embrace, transmuting pain. You might think that it's your job to heal other people in relationships versus being a healer in the world overall. Don't push the river, let it flow. This is a control card. Control, the need to control is often a trauma response. As I've shared over and over again, like victim of like multiple forms of abuse in my childhood that then led to really iffy relationship decisions throughout my adult life that I've been trying to overcome for kind of a while. And one of my purposes is to try and help other empaths, other psychic healers, heal from their own internal damage so that they can be the truly mighty people that they are. We have abundance. I am a limitless being, and I can manifest whatever I desire in this physical reality. You can transmute energy. You can, unfortunately, these two are related. You may try and use the power within to try and control exterior circumstances. Remember, half of what is brought to us is a lesson to be learned to help us expand, to help us grow, to help us have the most powerful experience and the best learning experiences that we can to find our purpose. Do not be afraid either, because fear, I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Remember, fear is actually the opposite energy of love. Fear often results from, again, living in unsafe circumstances growing up, and that can be emotionally or physically. I had both, yay. And by the way, we can all overcome that. Whenever I talk about my past, it's not because, oh, poor me. It's because, hey, listen, I really do know about the wheelbarrow of stuff some of us are carting around, but you can unpack it one rock at a time and leave that burden behind. I have addicted as well. Hey guys, trauma victims are frequently prone towards addictive behaviors because we go towards compulsive behaviors to create structure so that we can feel safe. And a lot of the times people are like, there's a difference between chemical dependency and addiction. And there actually is. And particularly complex post-traumatic stress disorder survivors have a tendency to go towards OCD that is trauma influenced, but it can take the form of addiction, and addiction is one of the cards for codependency. If you are overly involved in a relationship that is not truly worthy of you, that is a sign of codependency. If you're explaining away someone's bad behaviors, if you're trying to make it work, even though it hasn't been working, that is about codependency. It is so much better to release a relationship that is not serving you. If it ever is the right one, it will catch up with you. We have the Fool, and then we have Fool's Embrace. This is faith. This is allowing. This is also leaving the past behind. It looks like you've got some trauma from your childhood experience to go back and unpack. It is causing you to manifest the wrong things out of a fear-based place. Trying to have control over things is also, this is a card about control, is about trying to guarantee safety in an unsafe world. Remember, the thing that really guarantees that is you. As long as you have your best ally. All right, we have the Seven of Swords in reverse, which is clarity. I have the Judgment card in reverse, which is start of a new karmic cycle. Queen of Wands in reverse, which is that trigger temper thing I was just talking about. Strength card in the upright, which is overcoming. And then I have the Two of Wands in reverse. Through choice, through method, through... You really... The need to control needs to be transmuted into a method and a process for self-maintenance, for self-energy, alignment, to keep always working on your root chakra. Whenever you get that fear card, work on your root chakra. Whenever you get this Queen of Wands in reverse, work on your sacral chakra, because that's about anger. You are still sublimating and repressing pain from the past. You may go towards exterior sources with this addicted card to try and make yourself feel better. I'm very, very prone to that. I really am. Where like I'll do the same things over and over again, almost wearing a groove into the universe because I love a routine. I just love routines because routines give me this feeling of safety, even though that logically I know that a routine does nothing to ensure my safety. Things can still go wrong. The house could still catch fire. My routines do not do anything other than soothe me. And I recognize that. And sometimes the very thing to help manifest what you want is to break free of the limiting compulsions that we have a tendency to go towards. Like I work out at a particular time of day, I eat at a particular time of day. Messing with that a little bit is one of the things that proves to me that I am really the person in charge of my own destiny, of my own safety, of everything that I need to do. Examine your life to see what compulsive behaviors you are engaging in that are actually another form of addiction. Remember, codependency is a form of addiction. It is not an insult. I am what? I am the codependency queen. Codependency is so normal. It's also a trauma response. Looking for the ways in which you look for an exterior source to heal interior pain, because that's what addiction is. We judge it like it's a character flaw. It's not. It's a trauma response. Start looking at it differently. If you're afraid of the word addiction because you think it's about your value, your worth, or your character, it's not. It's about what pain are you trying to heal within. Heal the wound. Don't try and use a painkiller. Kind of dampening down and muting the pain is not the same thing as healing. It just makes life bearable, but the wound is still there. Find the wound and you will be healed forever. We have Savant. Oh, I'm sorry, Servant. I'm sorry, I thought that said Savant. It's Servant. Delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. You have a life's purpose. Group number 3 is almost always my healers. Using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. That is also about, you want this illusion of long-term security before you'll do anything. If you're in an environment that feels safe to you, quite frequently, you will not allow change to come in because you're too afraid that a change will take away rather than add. That's the other thing is remaining in bad situations because you fear that what's outside of it may be worse. Networker, light workers, light attributes. Enhances unity through sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy. Shadow attributes or conveys information only for personal gains, spreads fear and falsehood. Okay, so you are able to, you have this transmuting ability that is, you're a healer. You enhance unity through sharing of information. You have a skill that you're meant to be sharing with others. You may have in the past tried to apply that solely to your romantic partners. It likely did not work. Quite frequently, we think we can earn somebody's love, approbation, and constancy. If I do and do for this person, surely they will see me as integral to their life, and they will never abandon me. So much trauma has to do with abandonment issues. What have I got here? You're like tired of being told you're strong is the problem. Like you really are. It's like, enough with the strength. Can I have some ease? I'd like just a hug and a cup of cocoa. Thanks. You can do that for yourself. You can do that for yourself. You genuinely can. You are your best ally. What else have I got here? I've got celebrations. You are ready to bring new and exciting things into your life. You hesitate on that. You want too much structure around the risks that you take. This fear card, you're very risk averse. You have trouble trusting because you were hurt purposefully in the past. Queen of Wands. I don't like this card here, and here's why. I think that you lived in an atmosphere in which you could be just going, like you were probably like a fanciful little kid, and you could just be going along, and then there would be this great big blow up around you, and it was always centered on like the stupidest thing. Like maybe you left a cup on the countertop or in the sink or whatever. Like you had to be super, super, super careful. And because this is that explosive, like bam type of thing, you're always afraid in your life that if you don't have routine and structure, that you're about to step on a landmine. Remember, when you believe in self, when you believe in self-power, you're the person dictating what goes on in your life. And if somebody is all like, bam, boom, I'm going to take out my feelings on you, you can be like, hey, that's nice, bye. you really will not tolerate that as part of love. You never need to fear this. If you've got it with him, which, by the way, if you do, remember, I'm sure I've shared this, but I'm going to share it again. I have one narcissist and one sociopath for a parent. When my dad was a sociopath, my mother was a narcissist and is a narcissist. They were both only children, and they were both incredibly self-involved. And so I basically did not spend much time with them past the age of 6, but they were incredibly volatile. And I learned to hide things, and I learned to not show my real feelings. And as an adult, I didn't realize I had to unlearn that. I had to learn how to recognize my feelings as they were happening, because I didn't realize that part of having feelings was not reacting, but simply being like, oh, I am angry, why am I angry? Instead of being like, I'm angry, everybody take cover, I had to be like, I'm angry, what's causing that? What's it reminding me of? Is it making me feel unsafe? Okay, for whatever reason my camera shut off there, but examining what is making you angry. Because it's usually about feeling threatened, feeling like your needs won't be met, like the only way to be heard when you were growing up may have been to shout. And the only way to have your boundaries respected may have been to turn into a badger. Like, so that is the other part of it, is finding out why you're having reactions that don't necessarily serve you. And this is, you're ready to bring new and exciting things into your life, but you may hesitate because you want too much security. You're very, very risk averse. And you think that if you, remember, things can still happen that we're not planning. Things that are not necessarily about, you can plan like crazy and things will still take the path that they are trying to take, essentially. What did we have this order in? 2 of Wands was at the back of this. I started picking it up simply because I got distracted by my camera turning off, because whenever that happens, I'm always wondering if it's a sign. I don't think it is this time. Don't push the river, let it flow. Examine what you are doing to find out if you are obsessively safety seeking in other areas of your life. This does not appear to have to do with relationships. It looks like your relationship to self still has a lot of doubt around it, that you have trouble having faith in you with this Fool's embrace and transmuting pain, and then the Fool with clarity, beginning a new cycle. You have trouble getting off of the launching pad sometimes because you talk yourself out of self-belief. No matter how much you lean in on these healing journeys, on gaining knowledge, there's a part of you that doesn't like. It's not that it's not that you think you're uniquely afflicted or flawed, but sometimes you don't get the response time that you want, and so you abandon things. Like the appearance of security is sometimes more important to you than almost anything else. And that's a difficult energy to be in because it's not truly going to protect you. Sincerely, you could have $500,000 in the bank and like banks can fail. I know there's like federal protection and everything. I'm simply saying that there is nothing that you can do in the here and now that will guarantee a future in the particulars that you want, other than your efforts in every day. Knowing that the future has volatility in it, it has unpredictable things, other people, governments, diseases, calamity can befall us at any time, and you don't need to plan for it as much as you need to take really good care of you, because the best weapon you have against any form of instability, any threat to your security is you. Take a risk and believe in you. And that is not saying, all right, that's it, I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to buy, like, you don't take it to extremes, but remember, you may be behaving in an extreme fashion where I can't do this, I can't do that until I've set this part up. Sometimes we do have to take this leap of faith. Remember, this is a general reading and it can't apply to everybody, but you've got the abundance and fear. Your fear is keeping you from abundance because your lack of self-belief, you don't realize it, but it's doubt in all things. It's not just doubt in the divine, it is doubt in yourself. Believe in you. Believe in you. If you feel really called towards something, give it a shot. And remember, sometimes things will not work out. And I was telling this to a client the other day, is I got some information from a reading that did not turn out to be true. And what happens in reading is that our higher self gives us access to information. So when a reader is reading you, they're not going to get anything that your higher self is not letting them have. We work in conjunction with that. And sometimes our higher self really will give us inaccurate details as we're being led down a path of healing, because it's a big macro view of life. And the things that I was told that were not necessarily true caused me to make decisions that fed something that was very, 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 very important. But I would not have had the guts to make those decisions without that inaccurate information. And it was very important for me to with the actions that I did. And I know I'm being very, very vague here, so I'll just be very specific. I did not want to have a knockdown, drag-out fight with lawyers and everything in my divorce. And so I kept resisting it, and I kept resisting it. And all the readings I got gave me this like, complete victory, blah, blah, blah. It was an incredibly hard battle, and I fought and I fought and I fought, and I did actually win. But it was not this like, I did not decimate, I simply won. And I was told that I was going to, it was like a lay down, it was going to be very easy. I had to fight for my future. I did. And the only way that I was going to have the guts to do that is if I was told it was going to be this resounding, wonderful victory. Otherwise, I would have been like, no, I'm okay. Because I didn't like to confront this very cruel person. Instead, I fought like crazy and I did win. And now I have far more faith in my ability to fight whatever I need to. Every now and then, even if things have not worked out in the past, trust. Fear is the opposite of love. Faith is the thing that causes things to manifest. Mistrust is not really mistrust in the divine. It is mistrust in you. Trust you to be able to do what you need to do. And if you don't, if you're like, I will start my own business as soon as I have $600,000 saved, please don't put your life off until you have the circumstances you think you need to secure your feeling of safety within this world, because it never works. It never works. It's not really the number. It's not really a set of circumstances. It is a lack of faith in self. When you have faith in self, you will believe that you are safe and you are secure because you will know that you are the person in charge of doing that. All right, I have Shiali, which is creativity, originality, spontaneity, she who creates. There's something you're meant to be doing that you, I think, resist doing. That's just a little bit of the energy around this, is that you have had a difficult time believing that there is something that you are meant to be doing. And so you make up all of these, I'll do this when, I'll do this when this, I'll do this when that. Maybe understand that, and again, I can't make your decisions for you, and it's very important that you understand that. Never let tarot make your decisions for you. It's meant for guideposts, not roadmaps. But please understand that if what is holding you back from doing something is this laundry list of, and when this is organized, when I've got this, when I've done this, then I will go towards my dreams. Understand that it doesn't work that way. We are always asked to have faith in ourselves and to take that leap of faith, that fool's embrace. The thing that you need to heal is that you think security is about responsibility and you don't understand it's about protecting your fear. Your toxic trait is your limiting fear. All right, let's go. And the self-doubt that was likely created through an abusive situation. You can go towards escapism with this addicted card to dissuade you and distract you from the things that need to be addressed in your life. We have mask, not showing true feelings. Okay, masking pain is a big thing with people who have been abused as well. If your feelings weren't ever considered or important, quite frequently you learn to repress them. We have personify, pretend, delude, gaslighting. This could very much be an empath, narcissist type of thing that you're a little bit prone to. Heal that fear, and you will never feel like you need this very boastful, strong, arrogant energy around you to make the decisions and to lead the way. You will know that you're meant to lead the way. Acts, breakup, separation, stop the pattern, silent treatment, abandonment. So much of this is about fear. The fear that if you are not loved, if you aren't, then you are not protected. The fear that if you don't have X amount in the bank, then you will somehow end up starving. Fear, fear, fear. All of this is about fear. Work on your root chakra, but talk to yourself about what fear is. What am I really afraid of? What will happen? What do I think is going to happen? I'll lose everything. I'll end up on the street. Really? Tell me the number of times that you've actually failed. The only way that we fail sometimes is that we fail to have faith in ourselves. Heal your fear. Healing from heartbreak, freedom from toxic relationships or addiction. Recognize the things that you have done in the past that did not serve you. And I have shared before, and this is what I just keep doing throughout this entire channel, is trying to reveal my own warts and wounds so that other people will know that it's okay to show them to the world. It doesn't change anything. I have engaged in substance abuse in my life trying to escape from internal pain. I look back at the number of things I was facing, and I wouldn't ever judge another human being for that. I'd be like, oh yeah, no, my gosh, of course. I judged myself, and I wouldn't admit that that's what I had done. Is that I tried to self-medicate pain away so I wouldn't have to face a situation that I didn't want to change. Why? Out of fear. It's so very common for people who have been traumatized. Trying to act from a place of clinging to the safety that you know, because the unknown is too volatile. It's that Queen of Wands energy in reverse. Heal your fear and stop fearing the future. No matter how much you know about it, things can still go wrong. That's just the nature of life. It's a little bit fragile. It's a little bit volatile. It's a little bit of an adventure. Let it be the adventure that it is, and know that as long as you believe in you, as long as you can tell yourself, hey, sure, like everybody else, I've got some flaws, but I'm working on them, and I am going to heal entirely. I am the person who is in charge of my destiny. I can do this, and I believe in me. Work on your self-dialogue, your inner talk, that clarity around what you have done in the past. Look for why you were doing it. not just how to overcome it, but like if you've had bad relationships in the past, if you're like, yeah, I can be a little bit codependent. I lost my entire view of self to being in this relationship. If this person did not love me, then oh my gosh, what was I ever going to do? Well, you know what? You were going to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, look in the mirror and go, their loss, and move forward. Love you. Know that you are the key to your safety, to your future, to your security. And that there really isn't a number in the bank that will make you feel that. If the fear is at an internal and a core level that you don't truly believe in yourself, there is no amount of money, there is no amount of success, there is no relationship that will heal that. Face it, don't be afraid of it, you can heal it, you are strong. To keep going after trauma, you have to be so strong. And there is no shame in having hid from it in addictive behaviors or in things that did not serve you. We have wish, your heart's desire is ready to come true, but I think that the only thing holding you back is a view of self that is a little bit limiting. You still want the trappings of security, and that's understandable. You want the trappings of security to make it safe to take that risk. Remember, if you're like, oh, I want it to be safe to take that risk, that's not a risk. Sometimes we have to take the leap of faith in oneself, to give it a shot, to give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, remember, you will learn things that will make the next endeavor work out. Show me any great success, and that person will tell you about things that they learned from the ways in which they stumbled coming out of the gate. We all have things we need to learn. Don't be afraid of the future. Say, I am a warrior and I will conquer it. All right, I have, and that's that strength card as well. Know that you can overcome anything. Make good choices. Act on your plans. Don't put everything off. Remember, someday can go away. Don't wait for someday. Figure out today how you can move forward. Oh my goodness, Peruvian lily, strength. More effort will get you what you want. Safety is a story we tell ourselves. We are not safe in this life. Life is not safe. And that is not to frighten you. It is to get you to accept anything could happen at any moment. I went to the grocery store earlier. I did not get run over by a semi, but I could have. That is the nature of life. Accept it. It's not threatening. It is simply to have joy and all of the wonderful things that are about excitement and new experience. It comes with some peril and it comes with some risk. You do not need to be afraid because you have you and you are never, ever alone. Group number 3, the only toxic trait that you're showing is a lack of faith in self, a tendency towards addictive behaviors to try and distract yourself from the anxiety and the fear within. Work on your root chakra, but work on what you think safety really is. And start telling yourself, as long as I have me, I will figure it out. I will ask for guidance. I will ask for a path to be shown to me. I will see the way forward. And I will take the risk of investing in my dreams so that I can have them come true. Envision that. Keep telling your... And remember, this abundance card, what we say matters. What we think matters. If you think of the future fearfully, you will have things to fear. If you think of the future bravely, knowing I can meet any challenge that I need to, then that is the future you will experience. I have a lot of high-level manifestors in here. Remember, talk to yourself like you are the triumphant warrior that you are. You will conquer, you will overcome, and you will achieve. All right, so group number 3, that was your reading. Take care, be well, don't be afraid of the future. You can do anything that you need to. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 4, then this is your reading. This has been a very slightly heavy one, but I kind of anticipated that it would be. What toxic traits do you need to heal in order to have the outcomes that you want? Let's get going. This is the Muse Tarot. The Temperance card is all about healing and balance. Stick the sucker halfway through. And let's get going with your oracle cards. Hey, before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe. If you like the reading, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you want to book me for a private reading, there's a link to my website in the description box down below. I have the wall, obstacles. Oh, you might procrastinate. Let's find out. You are capable of brilliant transformation. This is procrastination so far. Grief. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. Envy, I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. And then I have Triumph of Lies. Triumph of Lies is a difficult one because it has a tendency to, it can be self-delusion. It can be telling ourselves that, you know, why should I try? Things never work out. You look to me like you have some difficulty around embracing change. You may see everybody else as having received the things that you want and feel as if you are left out in the cold. And then grief is you have past pain, potentially around the damage that was done to you. And the Triumph of Lies is potentially about telling yourself that the past doesn't matter. It's not about living in the past, but there are answers about our future in our past, about the ways in which we were encouraged not to make the healthiest choices by sometimes society, sometimes parents, sometimes other societal structures, churches. We really can absorb a narrative about who we are, but eventually, in order to come into our true power, we have to look within, find what we are meant to truly be, and transform into the version of ourselves that we are meant to. If you back away from something, from challenge because of an obstacle, it may be that you don't believe in yourself enough. And again, that grief energy is about allowing yourself to process pain and release it. The wheel in the upright, I have we're taking a 6-card spread, 10 of Cups in the upright. This is good, actually, with the 10 of Swords in reverse. You don't like endings, and so you avoid beginnings. Okay. All right. Hanged Muse in reverse. I have the 9 of Wands in reverse. Then I have the Priestess in the upright. That is about trusting intuition, trusting yourself, trusting your gut. You have a little bit of trouble with that. Like this is a tough one, group number 4. This does date back to childhood. Like, you're incredibly responsible, but you do, like, when you are trying to make plans on how to do something, you catalog all of the things that need to be overcome, all of the obstacles in the way, and sometimes you get a little stuck contemplating that with that Hanged Muse in reverse. You have trouble moving forward. There's a little bit of a being content, I want to call it, with your level of misery. That's an old saying in, like, abuse treatment, is that sometimes we can be stuck in a situation in which we kind of don't recognize how bad it is because we're used to it and we've become content with our level of misery. And it doesn't mean that you're miserable, it just means that you may not change things because you can learn how to be content in almost any situation. But you don't like things ending, so you don't let things begin. You have identified, you haven't processed past losses and dealt with the grief, and therefore, like, you have a tendency to hesitate to begin new things because you fear the ending of things. Like, it's almost like, why would I start dating somebody if they're just going to break my heart? Like, that's the second guessing that people do. That's the way we hold ourselves back. This High Priestess energy, though, here's what I think. I think that you have really good intuition, but that you don't trust it. And that, like, you'll often be like, oh yeah, I was right about that, but you've taken an observer's view on things quite a bit. Let's get some light attributes some archetype cards. It's been a strange read that I've told other groups I did not want to do. I was like, oh my God, people are just gonna be mad at me. But I do get guidance, and I was, very much told that, like, this is important to do, and that it's not about popularity, it's about purpose. I get a lot of those messages. It's not a profession, it's purpose. It's, the only way to heal something is to confront it. And we all have toxic traits. God knows I did. I grew up in the most toxic environment you can humanly imagine. It's amazing that I can do anything. Sincerely, it really is amazing. I'm functional. And it took a while to, like, really heal everything. We're all a work in progress. Things can be better. Things can be better. Even if you're content with the way things are you avoiding making things better because you don't want to risk losing that which you have? I have Detective, light attributes, great powers of observation and intuition. What did I just say? Desire to seek out the truth, Voyeurism, falsifying information, okay. Seeker, light attribute, there is wisdom and thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are, and the shadow attribute is inability to commit to a path once found. That's it. You stand and you look and you see things and you see it with clarity. You're actually very, very, very discerning. But sometimes you convince yourself that nothing matters. You really do, that there's no point, that it will all end up in the same way with this Ten of Swords. The Hanged Muse in reverse is moving forward after taking a perspective on something. You just don't like losing people either. You let very few people in because you take loss very personally. People come and go, it's hard, but it's true. She who begins, launch, actualize, potential. You talk yourself out of going forward. You let obstacles dissuade you. You allow yourself to, and this is not a criticism, we all do it sometimes, it's just the thing you're being asked to look at and heal, is you talk yourself out of making the changes that you think might make you happier because you're afraid that it will challenge the happiness. And like, you are good at that. Like, you're good at finding the way to be happy. If you are sitting alone in a completely empty room with a glass of water and a package of crackers, you will still say, well, at least I have enough to eat. Like, you will make the most out of a situation, but it's from a place of, it's from a place of not wanting to risk going towards more because you're afraid that you will lose it. Let's keep going here. Did I already get one of these? I did. This has been a strange and interesting read. We're going to go for my Slightly Shaming Island Wellness time, which I love this deck, but whenever I pull it out, I'm like, be careful. It can be targeted. It can feel a little pointed. And it is a very good deck for identifying the things that we need to change in order to have better relationships with self and others. And that's what Healing Your Toxic Traits is about. You have a tendency to dwell in energies that are like, you're fine with being moderately happy. You'd rather be like moderately happy than risking having everything, but you losing that which is making you moderately happy. You associate change with loss. All right, I have mirror. Mirroring each other, self-image, relationships reflect our wounds and introspection. Acts, breakup, separation, stop the pattern, silent treatment, abandonment. I don't think you abandon things. I think you don't let yourself get started on things. Soulmates, soul connection, partnership, agreement, and soul contract. Remember, not all soulmates are romantic. Not all partnerships have to do with relationships that are romantic either. I don't think that you go towards connection. I think that you have a tendency to maintain, like, you're content. You're a content person. As I said, you can really make the most of a situation. You focus on the right things. But you've gotten a little carried away with this according to that reading, and you're talking yourself out of going towards more because I have enough. Remember, we're meant to be constantly expanding. This entire lifetime is a journey, is a challenge, and is an adventure. We are not meant to get into one energy and stay there forever. And does that mean you won't always have the same partner? No, that is not what that means. It means that we need to be flexible and allow new things into our life because they're trying to bring us something. It can be a very difficult energy for people to understand. Expansion does not mean you have to constantly alter the things that you love, rather that don't have rigid structures around things that are actually fortresses. We don't fear losing things. Don't fear losing things. Allow new things in. Go towards expansion. Don't catalog the things that hold you back from doing things that might be different. Because you make these lists about what needs to happen before that can happen and this can happen, and that's as far as the planning goes. You hold yourself in one energy, talking yourself out of changing things because you're not actually unhappy. You have made yourself functional and forgotten that survival is not the same thing as thriving, and you can go from being a survivor into being a thriver if you allow yourself to incorporate more into your life. Unity, time of divine understanding, renewal, peace, and hope. You radiate and attract great love. You may have recovered from toxic relationships or disappointing relationships, because I'm not getting a lot of toxic relationship energy here. But you may have learned to self-protect by not allowing anyone new in. You may have stopped allowing new friendships, the possibility of meeting a romantic partner, not because you are living the dream and like, I get up every day, I'm just so happy, nothing can make me happier. If somebody's really in that energy, they're open to new experiences. You're a little closed down to new experiences, and you catalog again the obstacles rather than the opportunities. When you see an opportunity, you talk yourself out of it as being too difficult, too many things that stand in the way, and you let that go. I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. The envy energy, I just kind of don't get for you. I think that you think that if you don't really appreciate all that is around you right now, that is the same thing as, being ungrateful, and it's not. You can have tremendous gratitude and still invite more in. I think that there is somebody who self-image, relationships reflect our wounds. You're resistant to new relationships because you have repeated patterns, but you found safety and security in remaining in your own energy a great deal. You're a little closed down to new experience because you think it will follow old patterns. It only will if you haven't changed. Let's keep going here. Let's get a bird messages oracle. One of the things I love about group number 4 is you're always the easiest one to get to the core of the issue. I'm not sure why. Probably because 4 is the number of stability. Conserve your energy and reap bountiful rewards. That's the albatross. And then I have birds of paradise. Display yourself to advantage. This is no time for false modesty. I think you're being called towards something and you keep talking yourself out of it. There's just this, you're gonna be the only group that I'm gonna go for enchanted map cards are. And what you can't see is off camera, I have this giant rolling cart that I pull up to me that has all of these decks on it. And that is one of the ways that I select oracle cards as I'm doing readings. You are facing fewer traumatic wounds, and instead you are living in limiting energies. Self-limiting because you found a way to really kind of dig the life that you have, and you don't want to risk it. I have wishing well, that's manifesting. Deep freeze, like I said, flying. Cleaning house. Woo. Please look at your life for what it is that you might wish to change. Not that long ago, somebody asked me, it was a few years ago, if you could do anything right now, what would it be? Don't let practical concerns dictate your answer with that. Don't tell me, tell yourself. If I could be anything right now, what could it be? And if you're like, hey, I wanted to be a ballet dancer when I was 16, but I'm 47 now, it's not gonna happen. You know what? You could still go ahead and study dance and Zumba to meet people, to have that movement, that freedom, that connection with the physicality that has to do with flow and the beauty of having a body that works. There are still ways to make your dreams work. Sincerely, find the thing that lights you up again and go towards expansion and increase and allowing new things into your life. I'm not sure why the deep freeze energy, you don't wish for more any longer. You just don't. You hold things at, you want contentment rather than joy. Somehow you have been convinced that being contented is the most that you can hope for within this lifetime. It's not. It's not. And if you have remember, we're alive until the day we die, so it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. If you are 3 hours from being at the end of your lifespan, if you were to make the 2 hours before then the best that you've ever had, then that's a new experience that you carried forward in this lifetime. And clearly, I'm exaggerating for emphasis. Don't ever think it is too late to make a change that will bring you everything that you've been hoping for. Let's get a magical messages card. You're an intriguing group number 4, because it's very little toxicity, and instead it's not delusional. It's not delusional at all, but it is telling yourself this is enough. This is enough. I'm content with what I have, because you don't believe in joy any longer. Not lasting, at least. Your wish is granted. What you've asked for is coming true. Hey, listen, you had a little bit of wish fulfillment with that wishing well as well. Remember, you will have the experience you tell yourself you're going to have. You really will. If you walk into a situation saying there's no way in the world this is going to work out, then chances are that it won't work out pretty high. If you walk into a situation saying, I invite positive change and growth and thriving into my life. I believe that life is an ever-expanding adventure, that we are never meant to live in the same energy year to year, that when I have something that I value, I do not need to protect myself from the changes that might take it from me. Unfortunately, loss is a part of life. I do not fear it. I understand it. And I know that in order to have expansive, energetic, exuberant, joyful experiences, I have to allow the possibility of loss into my life. Do not prevent new things from coming into your life because you want to skip the pain of losing them. You are too much of a safety seeker. You are willing to take the this is good enough energy. I will make the most of this energy. And you're a good sport. My gosh, you're a good sport about absolutely everything, group number 4. But you need to follow through on being nudged forward, because you have a purpose that you've not fulfilled yet. You've come to a place where you're trying to stay on you built a house basically. And now you're saying, I will never expand this house because I like it too much. I like the way the light comes in through the kitchen. I like having 2 bathrooms. I don't need 3. I have enough as it is, and it is important to be able to be content. But if the divine is telling you that house is not just about you, the house you're being asked to build and to expand is about your purpose. Build that extra room, because it needs to have the room for you to live in a purposeful energy. The thing that you came here to learn is you haven't learned everything yet. You're still alive. Keep going forward. Keep allowing new things in. And know that if things change and you have to release things to have new things, don't think that those new things are somehow lesser. The best is not behind you. The best is yet to come. Allow new things to enter your life. Do not cling to the known, because the unknown contains too much risk. You don't like things being altered. You don't like loss. Whenever you lose something, it's very dysphoric for you, and you carry the loss forward for too long. And so to remedy that, instead of saying, I will take a better perspective with this Hanged Muse in reverse on the concept of loss, instead of understanding that it is very temporary, particularly when we lose somebody to death, is temporary. There is something beyond this. It is better to experience the loss than to have never had the gain. And it's a hard one for people to wrap their heads around. Let's go ahead and get an Angel Answers card for you, because again, you're slightly different. The situation will improve. You don't think that about changing things. When you see an obstacle, you take it as a sign that you're not meant to be doing something. I'm going to go ahead, you're going to be the only group that I'm getting an archetype card for, and also I'm going to go ahead and get a tea leaf card from the ever so slightly negative pile, because it will talk to you about whatever it is you're trying to heal. You have the least to heal out of the 4 groups, and it is simply that, it's that I will settle for good enough. I will settle for good enough. Don't settle. Keep going forward. No matter what stage of life you're in, keep going forward. miracles are in the unknown, okay? We have the sustainer. Oh, that's you. And then the lover. You have so many cards around blocking off new connection. There is a stage in healing from traumatic experiences in our formative lifetime that kind of lead towards not great relationship decisions, and it's called extreme independence. It is a stage in healing in which we decide, I will not be open to the possibility of meeting a human or meeting a new friend or meeting new people or a lot, because you don't have to be romantic if you don't want to be, but you've got multiples on this. Unity, lovers, you've got other cards that suggest that you're shut down to connection because you don't like loss. What we got here? We've got wreath, sorrow over a loss. Okay, gavel, involvement with the law, interesting. You feel something is lacking in your life, perhaps love, money, or goals. There is something lacking in your life, but you do fear loss too much, and so you won't risk a gain. And that involvement with the law is, I think that you really analyze the living heck out of things to talk yourself into, I'm not actually acting from a fearful place, I'm acting from an informed place. You use logic as a way to shore up your fears, and you're not aware that you're doing it. It's a form of, that's it, triumph of lies. I love it when that comes together. It is a form of denial. You are accidentally lying to yourself about what risk and expansion can contain. You talk yourself out of everything, and you are not actually confronting the thought that it is because you've had too much loss and so now you fear it. Here's the thing. It can very much hurt to lose. People and circumstances and relationships and jobs, but not everything in life is lost. And in order to continue to have an expansive experience, which we can until the very second that we die, we have to continue to go forward. Do not talk yourself out of new experiences because it's too late or I'm happy as I am. You're not, if you're watching this reading, then there's something inside of you that wants to be healed. We have soulmates. You've had so many things around allowing new connection in. Marrying each other, break up, separate, To avoid the ending and loss, you will not go towards the beginning. That is a toxic trait because it's limiting to your experience. Toxicity are all toxicities equal? No. Some are vaguely limiting, some are completely destructive. You have a limiting one versus a destructive one. Stop putting up walls and obstacles in your experience. Envy and grief, you do not want to lose things, so you won't risk gain. Launch, actualize potential. It's a hard thing, but just talk to yourself about, today I will risk something new. Today I will risk things getting worse by allowing something new to come into my life because it's just as likely to make it better. Stop staying in your safe place in order to avoid pain. Pain comes anyway because we lose. If you make your universe tiny and narrow, all that means is that eventually you will lose the things that are there as well. Unfortunately, loss is a part of life, but so is love, so is gain, so is expansion, so is experience, and so is excitement. Don't hold yourself back. Group number 4. All right, group number 4, that was your reading. Take care. Be well.